turkey, mushrooms, and okra and stewed tomatoes on light bread sandwiches. Those you have to lift and eat fast, lest it falls through the crust.
I didn't hear a word you said then. What's the menu? You'll be eating this tomorrow. What's it going to be?
See, delights is the eye of smoked Tennessee prime rib stuffed with rolled turkey and mushrooms, and then drenched in a Holland and a Bordelaise sauce, and also as a side dish and appetizer, stewed tomatoes and okra on light bread sandwiches. So you have to lift and eat fast lest it fall through the crust, and let's step up there and get us a sandwich and a tankard of knee-high.
Now, she expected to run a horse race after eating that lot.
Well, the horses don't eat this. The horses have a soup and salad, you know.
Now, a lot of Brits in town this week. In fact, Pat McInerney, drummer for Don Williams, has just dropped in to see us. He said, can I say hello to Mum and all mates in Hemel Hempstead? Tricia Walker is another person who lives out here, wanted to say hello to her parents. Who else is here? Oh, yeah, 90. Believe it or not, 90 people. The pubs must have been full here last night. The band of the Grenadier Guards and the drums, pipes and dancers of the Gordon Highlanders were here last night. Did you all know that?
No.
Did anybody go to see
another one?
Well, that would have been nice.
That's right. So the pubs must have been pretty full there last night of
I was eating
British
pizza.
people. Let's talk about your album. You've just had a million seller.
I just had a gold album, which is not quite a million seller. No, I think to qualify for a gold album, you have to sell 500,000 in this country.
Oh, I thought you got a platinum for.
Well, platinum is 1 million. A gold is 500,000.
No, not being too many this
We're
year.
still selling, though. We might get a platinum later.
And the title of the album?
The title of the album that just went gold is He Thinks He's Ray Stevens. It has a picture of me dressed as Napoleon on the cover.
Yeah.
And we thought the title would be appropriate for that picture. However, that is not my latest album, and if I might mention
Please do.
latest album, it's called, it has a picture of me dressed as a giant egg, and I'm falling off a wall, and it's called Cracking Up. It's sort of a Humpty Raymond type theme.
Oh, what he?
Humpty Moan.
Humpty Moan.
Moan, Raymond. That's a contraction of Raymond, Moan. A lot of people call me Mr. Moan.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
I don't know.
Mr. Moan. And what about on the gym front, Mary? Mr. Moan.
I can't even think what I'm going to say. Well, of course, the only thing that we have new is the Live at the Grand Ole Opry LP.
That's the Country Music Foundation album.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And there's 20 songs in there, and 4 of which Jim never recorded otherwise. And it's a really sharp LP, and it's
a collector's item?
Yes, it is. And it's very pleasant to hear. There's some clapping, and he's introduced on the stage by Grant Turner. And, of course, he does
all the
some
ambience
himself.
of the live performance.
Yes, it is. It's very well done. Yeah.
He's amazing, Grant. I don't know how old he is. He's still around. He's bent almost double now, isn't he?
Well, that's from hanging over these microphones. So.
He used to play hide and seek a lot, and he'd scrunch down in the closet, you know. He was the hide and go seek champion of 1941.
But he found us.
They found him.
And your producer seems to spend most of his time in Hawaii this summer.
Yes, Well, Don had back surgery, so he's, trying to feel better from that. And he's tan now. Him and Joy have gone over there and got him a tan.
Sorry, they did what?
Got a tan.
Oh, they got a tan. Yeah,
right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But I have a song called Lullaby for Teddy that I recorded that is available in baby stores. And
where you go buy babies?
I think you have to buy them at a different place. Okay. But it's not released, for the general radio. They may release it later.
Yeah.
But and also I have a gospel album that is going to go on sale on.
That was the TV special.
In 4 weeks.
Yeah. So no doubt that eventually will reach us. Now, The Streak has got to have been presumably your biggest ever record, was it?
Biggest single selling record, yes, that I've ever had.
What did it sell?
It sold about 5 million copies.
And it probably took you all around the world, didn't it? On the basis of
it was big in England and, I'm told England.
Oh, yes.
You can verify that. Yeah. And, of course, Australia and basically the English-speaking countries, Canada. However, we did do quite well, I'm told, in Germany and in Holland and a few other places.
The great thing that I like about it is that you do it so well on stage when you did it at Wembley last year.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's sort of, over the years, it was a hit in 74, and so what is this, 13, almost 14 years later.
Yeah.
And so it has evolved into something a little more than it originally was. We do a classical version inside the framework of the original song, and a lot of people like that. You know, they come to the show and they want to hear something a little more classy than just your regular old, you know, 3-chord deal. So we do those classical versions a lot of times on a lot of songs, and it sort of keeps the audience a little highbrow.
Oh. Have you heard the original in a while?
Pardon me?
Have you heard the original in a while? You probably haven't.
No, I'd like to hear it. Why don't we play it?
Right. Here it comes.
Hello, everyone. This is your Action News reporter with all the news that is news across the nation.
Sneaky way to
We're coming to you live from Nashville and having a lot of fun. The records, by the way, are being played in London. We can't hear them here in Nashville, so I'm sorry you haven't heard the streak in a long time, but you still haven't heard it. I'm sorry about that. Talking to Ray Stevens, Mary Reeves, and Barbara Fairchild here at the Opryland Hotel. This is a fair old studio, this, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's really good. I was just making note earlier and about they just bored a hole right in the middle of this fine shipping day of peace here and put microphones, this beautiful table, and they just bore holes in and put microphones, but it, you know, it serves a purpose, I guess. I mean, looks like they could have got a piece of plywood to do that, but everything's classy here at the Opryland Hotel.
Yeah. I tell you what, there's a lot of mindless violence on cable channels here, I meant to mention. And there was one presented with the name of Joe Bob Briggs. I don't know if you ever come across him, but he defended the violence by pointing out that it wouldn't be allowed in communist countries like Sweden and Great Britain.
Oh, really?
I don't know where he got his information from.
I don't think he had his facts straight, did he?
No, he did, but do you find these cable channels are very violent all the time, and nudity and things like that, which is quite surprising that your federal authorities allow it? To be serious for a moment.
Well, I think it falls under one of the, the Bill of Rights, First Amendment, right? First Amendment.
Personal rights.
But, some people seem to be abusing it right now. However, I think that'll, eventually get sorted out and changed because public sentiment is really largely not in favor of that kind of broadcasting, and I think eventually that it will be, dampened down quite a bit. However, meanwhile, I hope it doesn't,
They're out there laying the cables.
Yeah.
Did you say you've written a song on the subject?
Well, a friend of mine, Buddy Calb, and I write songs, and we have written a song that I'm going to record soon that sort of deals with cable television. Some of the things that you can't see on cable television.
Yeah. Now, that was one of the things I've been meaning to ask you, because when I look through your copyrights, whenever I'm looking to play your songs, if they're not your own songs, you can always tell a song of quality from W. Calb. Tell us about W. Calb.
Well, William Cyrus Calb is, Buddy, I call him, is one of the greatest songwriters I think I've ever known, and he lives in Kansas City right now. I think one day he will move to Nashville and devote all of his time to writing songs.
You mean he doesn't now?
No, he's just part-time now. When he really gets in full swing, no telling what he's going to come up with. But meanwhile, he and I write together sometimes, and he writes an awful lot just on his own. And he wrote the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. He wrote so many songs. As a matter of fact, he wrote my latest single, which will be released November 9th, and it's a duet with me and Julio. Now, Julio didn't show up, so I had to do his part. But it still turned out pretty good, and it's called Sex Symbols.
Yeah, hey, that's nice. But is he a funny kind of guy, or is he serious, or what?
Well, he's just a normal guy. He's got two sides like everybody else. Sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down, but he's just a great songwriter.
Yeah, and you've got a couple of good songwriters involved on your next song, Roger Cook and Roger Greenaway.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
I had the pleasure of introducing you to Cookie, didn't I?
I know, he's really a wow.
And you're both from Nashville, and you both met in my studio in London, which was quite a coincidence, wasn't it?
It was neat.
And this is
thank you for that.
Pleasure. This is Too Much Love. Yeah, Too Much Love by Barbara Fairchild. Harking back to the Princess Royal, you're going to be singing for this time tomorrow afternoon, right, Ray?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
And I'm amazed at the the amount of charity that the people of Nashville have contributed, because they've put 50 private boxes, I think they'll hold 10 people, and each box is being sold at $10,000 each, and apparently they sold them like within an hour, and they raised $500,000 instantly.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to go out there to the racetrack and pay $10 each on the day.
People here are very generous, as you just said.
Yeah. Does that knock you up?
I'm proud of them.
Did you know how you got selected, by the way?
Flabber and Gasty.
Do you know how you managed to get selected to sing for the Princess Royal?
No, I don't. I'm going to find out, though. All I know is I got a call from my agent, and he asked, would I like to do it? And I said, sure. And so that's all I know. I was told that Lee Greenwood is also going to sing, and also Tanya Tucker, and I forget who else. Ricky Skaggs. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Ricky Skaggs is singing tonight, I think. Yeah.
Is he?
That's
Yeah. Well, tomorrow maybe Ricky's not singing then. Maybe.
Well, what's happened is we found your recording of Sex Symbol.
Oh, great.
Should we be able to give it a play? It is broadcastable, I hope.
Oh, of course.
Because we have been caught once or twice by albums and tracks that, when we put them on, realised that weren't quite exactly what they thought we were going to
This is G-rated all the way.
Here it comes. Here we are back in the Opryland Hotel again. One of the things coming up on Country Club in the future weeks is whenever we come here, Mary, we like to talk to songwriters, and we always get a major songwriter to talk to us in depth. And this year we covered Harlan Howard, who is just one of the greatest. I think he's had 1,000 songs recorded.
I'm sure he has.
One of the things he said, which was kind of interesting, he said back around the time that Jim and Patsy Cline were both killed in separate plane crashes, he said he was amazed that the music recovered, because he felt that kind of country music might even have gone under at that point to have lost two such tremendously popular singers.
Well, that's an interesting thought. Of course, country music survives whatever.
That's right.
Well, thank goodness that both of them had recorded enough things that, the recorded sounds could still, be an inspiration. So that's a good legacy to leave.
Yeah, and then we put Jim and Patsy together, you see, on those two songs that would fit. There were 5 songs altogether, but only 2 of them would work technically,
Yeah.
So there are always good things that come out of those things.
One of the things that made me listen again to Patsy Cline was getting the CD of Sweet Dreams.
Yeah.
And to hear her sing on a CD is quite astonishing. Is any of Jim's material coming out on
Well,
the CD?
not here in the States, not yet. Now, in Holland, there has been one LP that's been digitally mastered, but not a CD as such.
Yeah.
But it's semi.
But
it's really terrific.
It's going to come around the world, obviously.
Yeah, it will.
CD is the format, isn't it?
Yeah, it
So
will.
Eventually we'll all... Do you have a CD, right?
Yes.
Do you find it changes the way of listening to things?
Well, it's just cleaner, but I mean, some of the old equipment is still wonderful to listen to things on. I mean, I'm not against CDs. I love it, but I've got so many things that are on old records that won't ever be on CDs that I'm going to keep all my different old players so that I can play all this stuff.
8 tracks. Is that 8 track that's gone now? Finally.
I still got one in my pickup truck.
We still sell them. They don't still make them, but I have a lot of 8 tracks to sell in the museum.
Yeah. And talking of the museum, do you ever get around to any of these tourist attractions here? Because I'm sure people back home would love to know what's here apart from Opryland. I mean, Opryland is an enormous complex. They're adding, I understand, a Wet and Wild theme park to the end of this valley.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
What other things are here?
Well, of course, there's Johnny Cash's museum. There's Twitty City.
Twitty City's got a place.
Conway Twitty's museum. Marty Robbins' museum, I understand, is very nice.
Well, that's one I haven't been to see it. Does Ronnie run that, his son?
Yes, he and Marty's wife.
What about you, Barbara? Did you ever get to be a tourist in Nashville? Or?
Well, when family comes in, see, you always take them to see things they want to see, too. And
where do you get around to? Have you been down to the Jim Reeves
really
Museum?
Wonderful, and no, I haven't, Mary. Why'd you have to ask me? Now, Mary's going to say, how awful, Barbara.
No.
I'm going to invite you out.
Okay.
What about, is that when you do the town, when your family comes in or anything like that?
Well, I don't really know. I don't know what's past my block where I live. I know how to get to the airport. and to my studio, and that's about it. Because I'm gone so much, and when I'm here, I'm trying to catch up on things that I need to record, and so I hadn't been out and about lately.
Do you ever get anybody ask you the way where you live locally? Because I do that where I live, and I say, I'm sorry, I only sleep here. Anyway, we're about to put on our last record, and thank you all very much for coming on. It's been really lovely having you, Barbara, Mary, Ray.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This
Thank
is
you.
Misty. Misty there by Ray Stevens, and my special thanks this week to Ray. Ray, thank you so much for dropping by.
My pleasure. Thank
Thank you. Barbara Fairchild and Mary Reeves for dropping into the club. To Tammy Wynette, Lynn Anderson, Waylon, Janie Fricky and Vern Gosdin with a superb comeback single. To Kyle, our engineer. Thanks, Kyle. Graham and Margaret back home. Nick Barraclough produced in London. Colin Chandler produced here. I'm Wally Whyton. We travel home tomorrow. See you at the weekend. From us all, goodbye. Hey, Steve!
And a very good night to you, Wally. Tomorrow evening at 7:30, Robin Ray presents Soundstage International. Kenneth Alwyn conducts the BBC Concert Orchestra, and this week features the music of Russia and compositions by Prokofiev, Borodin, Tchaikovsky, and Khachaturian. Back to this evening, and music of a very different kind, rhythm and blues with Paul Jones, in a couple of minutes. Radio 2. It's 9 o'clock. At the news desk, Patrick Lunt.
In the Gulf War, the United States has said it might supply missiles to Bahrain to repel attacks similar to the one on Kuwait's main oil export terminal today. American forces won't retaliate against Iran for the attack, but in a rebuke aimed at halting the apparent sale of arms to Iran by China, the State Department said Peking would be denied easier access to American high technology. Talks about the prison officers' dispute have brought a warning from the Home Secretary, Mr. Douglas Hurd. He issued this ultimatum to officers refusing to admit new inmates in their dispute about manning levels.
In one or two prisons, if there is still, by early next week, a continuing sustained refusal to work normally, to accept prisoners who are sent in, then after a proper warning has been given to any officer concerned, he will be sent home without pay and allowed back when he works normally.
Straight away, the prison officers' chairman, Mr. John Bartell, said his association's executive would meet tomorrow to consider holding a ballot on industrial action.
When staff are placed in a position where quite clearly their safety is placed at risk, pounds, shillings and pence are not the primary concern. With regard to any action that will be taken, that will be decided by the executive of the Prison Officers Association in conjunction with the membership in the very near future.
A search is underway in the Irish Sea for the pilot of a Harrier jump jet. An alarm was raised by the crew of an American military transport aircraft who saw the jet without a pilot hit the sea just off the Irish coast. RAF planes and a Sea King helicopter, which are taking part in the search, are hoping to detect radio beacon signals. And that's the latest news. We'll have another summary at 10 o'clock.
Always here with you. Radio 2.
In an hour's time, there's comedy in Ken Dodd's Palace of Laughter, and this evening, Doddy's Travelling Theatre makes it to Tilsley Little Theatre, whilst at 10:30 this evening, from the stage to the screen, with Nick Jackson and Star Sound Cinema. But now, Paul Jones and Rhythm and Blues.
Jonesy here, and it's technology time tonight on the Rhythm and Blues show as we bring you another bunch of blues on compact disc, an hour in which the digits are going past at the rate of hundreds of thousands per second. I'm glad you could get here on time. Well, we'd better get started. Sun Seals is already going home. Sexism in the blues? What an idea. That was, of course, Sun Seals and Going Home, where the women got meat on their bones. Actually requested, well, that particular track wasn't requested, but I did have a letter from Jenny Allen saying it's about time we had some Sun Seals on the program. Hope she wasn't too offended by that one. Now then, here is on the Malaco label a CD of ZZ Hill. A CD of ZZ Hill. I don't think we've ever played ZZ Hill on this program before, but here is I'm a Blues Man. ZZ Hill, I'm a Blues Man. What a great number from the best of ZZ Hill on Malaco, MAL CD 342. Our next CD is Jazz Classics in Digital Stereo, a BBC one, and it's Chicago, which means to say that it takes in people like Jelly Roll Morton, King Oliver, Louis Armstrong, Bix Beiderbecke, Eddie Condon, Red McKenzie. Which of these people concerns us? Well, Ma Rainey and Hear Me Talking to You.
I used to be, you hear me talking to you.
We seem to have a slight problem with Paul Jones at the moment, and rhythm and blues. Let's hope we can return to him fairly shortly. You're tuned to Radio 2. It's 11 and a half minutes past 9. And in fact, for the last 2 hours, we've been listening to country music from Nashville. So let's return to the country music scene now. Ricky Skaggs and some country music for you. Of course, between 7 and 9 on Thursday evenings is Wally Whyton with Country Club. Let's return now to Paul Jones and Ma Rainey singing Hear Me Talking to You.